that the more you give, the more you try, the more you pour your soul into him, the further you might be pushing him away. There is a profound, almost spiritual ache in giving your all and being met with indifference. But the truth, a truth buried deep in the work of Carl Jung, is that a man doesn't get attached to what you do for him. He becomes permanently bound when you activate a hidden part of his own soul, a part that no other woman has ever been able to touch. Today, you will discover what that is. I will give you the key to unlock his deepest level of devotion, revealing the 5 secret psychological triggers that bypass his conscious mind and create an unshakable emotional bond. This isn't about his words. It's about triggering an unconscious reaction inside him, a visceral feeling that losing you means losing the best version of himself, something he knows he can never, ever replicate with anyone else. These profound teachings are timeless, and they reach across the globe. And on that note, I'm truly curious to see how far this wisdom can travel today. Please, take a moment and tell me in the comments, what part of the world are you watching from? It's incredible to see how these universal truths from Carl Jung can help us all connect. And as you do that, if you feel a resonance with this message, please subscribe. An incredible number of you who find healing and value in these videos aren't yet part of our community. And by subscribing and hitting the like button, you ensure you won't miss the future insights that could change everything for you, while also helping this message reach others who need to hear it. Now prepare yourself. The journey to becoming the woman who marks his soul effortlessly and forever begins right now. Ready? Let's go. First trigger. He doesn't get attached because of what you give him, but because of how he feels about himself when he's with you. This might hurt, but it's the truth. A man doesn't stay for everything. You do for him. He stays for how he feels about himself when he is near you. It doesn't matter how much you love him, how much you care for him, how much you wait for him. If being with you makes him feel confused, empty, frustrated, or even inferior, he will not get attached. He may desire you, he may enjoy moments with you, he may even need you in his low moments, but he is not going to get emotionally attached, because real attachment is not born from the body, it is born from the reflection you give back to him, from the I that he begins to experience when you are near. And if that I feels seen, admired, elevated, if his ego feels nourished without feeling threatened, if his shadow is not activated as a defense mechanism, then a connection is generated that his mind cannot break. And it doesn't matter if he consciously recognizes it or not. His instinct feels it, his emotional system memorizes it, and his soul begins to return without knowing why. Carl Jung spoke of how the unconscious plays a fundamental role in our connections. He said that we don't love people for who they are, but for the projections we make onto them, for how they reveal hidden parts of ourselves. And that is brutally true when it comes to male emotional attachment. A man does not get attached to a woman because she is perfect, or because she offers him material comforts. He gets attached because in her presence, he touches something deep in his psyche, something that makes him feel more integrated, more complete. Imagine that each person carries within them a vast ocean of the unconscious, full of unexplored shadows and lights. When you are with him, if you manage to reflect not only his light, but also accept his shadow without judging it, without trying to force it into the light, he feels as if he has found a mirror that does not distort, but clarifies. And that mirror is you. Paula experienced what I am about to tell you without anyone explaining it to her. She, 36 years old, summed it up for me like this. I was with a man who wasn't perfect, nor was I trying to make him so, but when he was with me, he laughed more. He talked about his childhood without pain. He dreamed of things he didn't dare to dream of before. And one day he told me, with you, I feel like the best man I can be. And that scares me, because I haven't felt it with anyone. That was the moment he began to get attached, not because she was accommodating, not because she pampered him or chased him, but because she became the place where he felt emotional freedom without judgment. And you don't find that just anywhere. That is what his mind records, what his body seeks, what his soul begins to need. even if he doesn't understand it. But let's go deeper. According to Jung, the process of individuation, that path towards the integration of the self, is accelerated when we find someone who helps us confront and accept our unconscious parts. In the case of a man, his masculine ego is often built on defenses, on the need to appear strong, in control, invulnerable. If you as a woman come and directly confront him with his weaknesses, his shadow is revealed, and instead of attachment, resistance and flight arise. But if instead you create a space where he can explore those shadows without fear, where his ego feels nourished instead of attacked, then the attachment becomes anchored in the deepest part of his psyche. It's not just emotional, it's archetypal. Jung spoke of archetypes, like the anima, the feminine projection in man. And when you embody that anima in a positive way, he is inevitably drawn to you as if to a lost part of himself. And here is the revelation that almost no one tells you. A man can have sex with many, but he only gets attached to the one who makes him feel better. A better man, not stronger, not more admired, but better, more at peace, more authentic, more himself. And that feeling is not created from sacrifice, it is created from your center. When you're not trying to please him, nor prove that you are the best option, nor control if he chooses you, you begin to emit an emotional frequency that tells him, here you can breathe, here you are not on trial, and that is what makes him stay. Not your beauty, not your devotion, not your proofs of love, but the emotional reflection that you give back to him and that he doesn't find with anyone else. Think of another example. I met a woman named Anna, 42 years old, who had been through several failed relationships. She always gave everything, cooked, listened, supported him in his work crises, but the men left. Until one day, tired, she decided to change, not out of strategy, but out of internal necessity. She began to focus on herself, on her hobbies, on her personal growth. When she met her current partner, she didn't put him on a pedestal. She saw him as he was, with his strengths and his shadows. And he, a stressed businessman, told her after months, with you, for the first time, I don't feel like I have to be the hero all the time. I can fail and still feel valuable. That was the click. He became attached because in her he found a reflection that integrated his complete self, not just the social mask. So, if you're wondering why he didn't get attached to you, why after giving everything he didn't value it, it's time to ask yourself a more powerful question. How did he feel about himself when he was with me? Did he feel challenged, judged, analyzed? Or did he feel free, calm, seen? Not from your intention, but from what his ego and his emotionality received. Because sometimes you think you're making him feel loved, and he's feeling evaluated. You think you're showing him your value, and he's feeling pressured. And that doesn't generate attachment, that generates flight. And how do you change that? Not by faking coldness, not by playing hard to get, not by using techniques, but by connecting with yourself in such a way that you don't need him to validate you or to feel that you are doing things right. When he perceives that you are at peace with yourself, that you are not trying to correct or save him, that you see him as he is, and that you still don't dissolve yourself to be with him, that calms him, disarms him, attaches him. Because the emotionally immature man attaches to chaos, but the man who is beginning to awaken attaches to the calm that you emit from your center. And when he experiences that, it marks him. There are many beautiful women. There are many intelligent women. There are many incredible women. But the woman who makes him feel like a better man without manipulating him, she stays with him. She becomes his emotional root. She is the one who begins to occupy space in his soul. And even if he denies it, even if he walks away, even if he resists, he knows. His body remembers it, his shadow seeks it, and his mind relives it. Because a woman who connected him with his best internal version is not forgotten, she is missed in silence. She is desired without knowing why, and many times, she is lost for not having understood it in time. Let me expand on this with another story. I remember Laura, a 38-year-old therapist. She had read Jung and applied his ideas in her personal life. In her relationship, she didn't try to fix her partner. an artist with episodes of creative doubt. Instead, she listened to him, reflecting his ideas without imposing her own. One day he confessed to her, "You make me see my shadows not as enemies, but as allies. With you, I am more myself." That attachment was born from Jungian integration, accepting the whole, not just the luminous parts. And if you achieve that, without conscious effort, just from your authenticity, he will inevitably become attached. And what happens when a woman doesn't need him to like her, but still, he keeps choosing her? We will see that now, because that is where the second trigger is born, that emotionally binds him without him being able to avoid it. Second trigger, when you don't need him to like you, but he chooses you anyway, the "I am the lucky one" effect. Before continuing, if this message is already stirring something inside of you, subscribe right now and give it a like. That way we let YouTube know that the content is useful and it will recommend it. Thank you very much. There is a sensation that completely disarms the male ego. It's not when you tell him you love him, nor when you strive to please him, not even when you do everything right. It's when he, looking at you from his world, feels that he has no power over you and still wants to stay. Not because you are trying, but because you don't need him. And that security of yours, silent but firm, makes him feel that if he doesn't choose you, he loses something that he won't find anywhere else. And that is one of the most subtle and powerful moments in which a man begins to get emotionally attached, when you are not begging for his attention, and still, he feels lucky to have it. From Jung's perspective, this touches the archetype of the anima, the inner woman that the man projects. When you don't seek his approval, you are not acting as a dependent figure, but as a complete entity. He sees in you not a conquest, but a complement to his own individuation. His unconscious drives him to pursue you, not for possession, but for integration. It is as if his soul recognizes that in you there is something that completes him without subjugating him. Someone who wasn't looking for it experienced this. A woman named Natalia, 38 years old, wrote to me, "With him I felt good, but I didn't feel empty without him. I didn't write to him every day. I didn't ask him if he missed me. I didn't seek reassurance, and yet he always came back. One day he told me, 'I don't understand why you matter so much to me. I feel that if I lose you, I lose something I won't know how to replace.' And she hadn't done it out of strategy. She was just so full of herself that she didn't project neediness. She didn't chase him. She didn't challenge him to get his attention. She just was. And that just being was her greatest power. Because male attachment is not activated by reward, it is activated by contrast when he realizes that with you, he has nothing guaranteed. But what he receives makes him feel valuable, seen, and free at the same time. That changes everything. And here comes one of the strongest truths that nobody says. A man does not get attached when he feels that you want him to like you. He gets attached when he feels lucky that you like him, because at that moment you are no longer the woman waiting to be chosen. You have become the woman who chooses from a place of calm, from dignity, from an energy that neither begs nor demands. And that is the energy that marks him emotionally, because it reminds him of something he was not taught to handle. Being attracted to a woman who is not begging for his validation. And do you know what is the most powerful thing about that? That when you are not competing, when you are not proving your worth, when you are not emitting disguised anxiety, he lets his guard down and begins to be himself without defenses, without games, without masks. And that space of authenticity is where real attachment occurs. Not because of what you do, but because of what he feels when he is with you. Because a woman who is not desperate to be approved of becomes the place where he feels chosen for his truth, not for his performance. And that makes him come back, not out of need, but out of true emotional attraction. Let's take another case. Sophia, a 35-year-old executive. She had always been the one who pursued in her relationships, but after a breakup, she dedicated herself to her career and friends. When she met a man at an event, she didn't bombard him with messages. She maintained her independence. He, accustomed to women who flattered him, felt intrigued. "You're different," he told her. "You don't seem to need me, and that makes me want you more." His attachment grew because she embodied autonomy, a reflection of what he needed to integrate into himself, according to Jung, balancing the anima with independence. And how is that activated in you? I'll make it clear with 3 signs that emit this magnetic frequency. The 3 signs of a woman who doesn't need him to like her, and yet he still chooses her. 1. She is okay with his silence. She doesn't seek to fill the voids. She doesn't get desperate if he doesn't talk to her. She doesn't rush to interpret because her world doesn't revolve around a response. 2. She doesn't give up her time easily. She isn't always available. She doesn't answer quickly. She doesn't reorganize her day for a vague promise. And that, far from pushing him away, intrigues him. 3. She doesn't seek to control the connection. She doesn't ask him, "What are we?" She doesn't demand labels. She observes, and if something doesn't vibe, she simply doesn't force it. And that freedom she emits is what makes him stay, not to control her, but because he wants to keep feeling that with her. Let's expand on these signs. In the first one, being okay with silence means cultivating an inner peace that Jung would call integration of the self. It's not about ignoring him, but about not depending on his constant validation. Imagine no messages. Instead of anxiety, you focus on your reading, on a long walk in the park, feeling the wind on your face. He notices that absence not as rejection, but as strength, and his unconscious drives him to return. In the second one, not giving up your time easily is about respecting your boundaries. If he suggests a vague date, you don't cancel your plans. Maybe you have a yoga class or dinner with friends. That tells him, "My life is full." And he feels lucky when you agree, because it is a genuine choice. In the third one, not controlling the connection is to flow with the Jungian archetype of the river, letting things develop without forcing them. You don't ask, "What are we?" because you trust your intuition. If it doesn't vibe, you let it go, and that attracts him more, because he sees in you an integrated woman, not one fragmented by neediness. A man is attracted to many, but he becomes deeply attached to the one who doesn't need him, but still chooses him. To the one who doesn't chase him, but honors him with her presence when she has him near. Because in his mind, only one idea is recorded. I don't know how you do it, but you make me feel that having you is a privilege. And that is the beginning of all real emotional attachment. And in the next point, we are going to unveil the third trigger that binds him without him understanding why. The unique emotional experience that he lives with you, and that no other woman can imitate, because his body remembers it, his soul seeks it, and his ego cannot replace it. Third trigger, the unique emotional experience, what he doesn't find in others, and his mind starts to look for it in you. There are women a man remembers with affection, others with desire, a few with guilt, but there is one, only one, that his mind cannot let go of. And it's not the one who gave him everything, nor the one who was perfect, nor the one who asked him to stay. It is the one who made him live an emotional experience that he cannot replicate with anyone else. That feeling that touched him at a point so real, so deep, so inexplicable, that his ego doesn't know how to process it, but his body memorizes it, and his soul keeps it. Jung explained that profound experiences touch the collective unconscious, those universal archetypes that connect us beyond the personal self. When you create an experience that awakens in him a sense of union with something greater, like the integrated self, he becomes attached, because it is as if you had touched a living symbol in his psyche. It's not just chemistry, it's emotional alchemy. That woman was not the most available, nor the most devoted, nor the one who always said yes. She was the one who gently confronted him with parts of himself that he had never seen, the one who held him without carrying him, the one who listened to him without correcting him, the one who did not seek to change him, but who unintentionally changed his vibration. And that experience is not forgotten. There are moments that seem simple but leave a mark. A conversation, a shared laugh, a comfortable silence, a look that wasn't trying to seduce him, but to see him. And that is what he doesn't easily find in others. He can look for it, he can fake it, he can project it, but when he has already lived it with you, no one else can do it the same way. And when he tries, that's when he starts to compare you without meaning to. Not with the body, not with the messages, but with the feeling, with that emotional calm that you made him feel, even though he didn't know how to name it. A man who went through. This told me honestly. I was with several women after her, attractive, intense, intelligent women, but I always felt that something was missing. And it wasn't that they did anything wrong. It was that with her, I felt that everything was right. Even if we were in silence, even if she didn't say anything to me, it was a peace that I couldn't find anywhere else. That is what marks him. That is what attaches him. That is what makes him come back years later just to see how you are. Because it's not that he misses you as a person, he misses what he felt about himself when he was with you. And he lived that in an emotional experience that his ego doesn't know how to manufacture with someone else. Another example. Marcos, a 40-year-old engineer, remembered a woman from his youth. She wasn't the most beautiful, but during their hours-long walks on the beach talking about dreams and fears, he felt a connection that touched his anima. Years later, in other relationships, he looked for that same vibration, but failed. It was as if she had awakened an archetype in me that no one else could, he said. That is the power, to create an experience that resonates in the depths. And the most brutal thing about this is that you can't fake it. You can't provoke it as a technique. You can't copy it from a video. Because that experience he lives with you is not born from what you do. It is born from who you are when you are connected with your truth. You are not acting. You are not trying to be special. You are not competing. You are present, without fear, without anxiety, without masks. And that presence of yours, so rare today, so scarce, is what his emotional field recognizes as unique, as unrepeatable, because in that instant he feels free, but contained. He feels accepted, but not overprotected. He feels seen, but not analyzed. And that, for a man who lives on the defensive, who is used to being pressured, questioned, or ignored, is pure emotional medicine. And like all real medicine, when he loses it, his system notices and begins to look for it, to feel that something is missing, to not understand why everything else seems the same, except you. And how is this unique emotional experience activated? It's not with strategies, it's with authenticity, with internal alignment, with a peace that cannot be bought, but is cultivated. I'll share the 3 most important keys to create that experience in a man without doing it for him, but from within yourself. The 3 keys to activating an emotional experience that marks him without him knowing why. First, your energy is not asking him for anything. You are not waiting for him to choose you. You are not trying to control the connection. You are enjoying, feeling, flowing, and that takes the pressure off of him to have to perform emotionally. When a man doesn't feel examined, he begins to relax, and that's when he gets attached. Let's expand. This key implies cultivating a neutrality that Jung would call an attitude of non-intervention, as in analytical therapy, where the therapist does not direct, but facilitates. In the relationship, if you don't ask for anything, he opens up naturally, revealing layers of his psyche. Imagine a dinner where you don't interrogate him about his day, you just share the moment. He feels freedom, and that freedom becomes attachment. Second, you make space for him without erasing yourself. He feels he can be himself, but you don't disappear. You don't revolve around his emotions. You don't get lost in what he wants. You are a serene mirror, not an emotional abyss, and that makes him stay because he feels free, but not alone. This is like creating a Jungian mandala, a sacred space where he can explore without getting lost. You maintain your contour, yourself, and he feels contained. In practice, if he shares an insecurity, you listen without absorbing it, responding from your center. That generates a unique experience of containment without codependency. Third, you don't try to impress him, but you impact him anyway. You don't seek to be the perfect woman. You are not adapting your discourse. You don't agree with him just to please him. You are just being you, with presence, with strength, with non-feigned sweetness, with non-aggressive boundaries. And that, for him, is magnetic because his soul feels held and his ego does not feel threatened. Here, authenticity makes an impact because it touches the archetype of the self. You don't impress with artifice, you impact with essence. For example, if you argue, you remain calm. You express your truth without attacking. He feels a deep impact, as if you had revealed a symbol in his unconscious. And that is what marks him. Not what you gave him, not what you did, but what he felt he only experienced with you. And when he tries to replicate it with another, when he thinks he can build the same thing with someone else, when he tells himself, it was just chemistry, a part of his body will say, no, it wasn't just that. It was her. It was what she awakened in me. And that is what makes a man become deeply attached. Not for what you gave him, but for what you made him feel about himself, on a level that he didn't even know could exist. Now pay full attention. You are going to discover how you seal it, because there is something more powerful than what he feels with you. How you project it without saying anything. The non-verbal language that traps him, ties him, and makes him return to you without you having to do absolutely anything. Fourth trigger, the non-verbal language that binds him. How your gaze, your tone, and your energy seal him effortlessly. Something happens in him long before he recognizes it, before he says, I like you, before he says, I care about you, even before he says, I don't know what's happening to me with you. It happens in silence. It happens without words. It happens when you look at him without fear, speak to him without anxiety, and are present without giving yourself away too much. And although he doesn't understand it, his body reacts. His emotional system registers an energy that marks him, as if his unconscious were saying, this is different. This makes me stay. It's not what you said. It's not what you did. It's what you projected. Because you can be sweet to him, and he won't stay. You can tell him you love him, and he'll walk away anyway. You can give him everything, and he won't get attached. But when your nonverbal language transmits an emotional experience that elevates him, that makes him feel in the presence of something valuable, a connection is generated beyond his will. Carl Jung said that the soul speaks through symbols, and that the unconscious communicates with the unconscious. And that is exactly what happens when, without speaking to him, you are saying everything. Non-verbal language is the direct bridge to the unconscious where the archetypes reside. Your gaze can evoke the anima, your tone the self, your energy the mandala of integration. A woman shared with me what she experienced with a man years ago. I never told him what I felt. We never had a deep conversation about love. But every time he saw me, he would look for me with his eyes. He would touch me gently. And on one occasion he told me, with you, I feel at home, and I don't know why. I just know I don't want to leave. She hadn't done anything specific. She was just present with total authenticity, without vibrating from a place of lack, without seeking to be liked, without trying to impress him. And that was what trapped him. Because the most powerful thing about your presence is not what you say. It's what your field says about you when you are no longer pretending. Now I want to show you how your nonverbal language is emitted when you are truly connected with yourself, and why that is what marks him without him knowing it. A woman who is not asking for approval with her gaze, but simply sees the man as he is, without the need to change him, emits a force that disarms him. He lowers his defenses, stops acting, relaxes, and in that moment, he begins to associate you with something his soul wants to feel again. Authenticity without threat, and that generates emotional attachment without you seeking it. Let's expand. The gaze is a powerful Jungian symbol, like the eyes of the soul. If you look without judgment, it reflects his totality, including his shadows. He feels unconditional acceptance, which accelerates his individuation. In practice, during a conversation, maintain calm, not intense eye contact. That disarms him, creating an unconscious bond. 2. Your tone is soft but firm, like someone who is not competing. When you speak without urgency, without anxiety, without seeking to manipulate or control the conversation, he feels it. He doesn't think it. He perceives it. And that feeling that you are not at war, that you are not trying to win his love, makes him feel free. And that freedom is the point where he begins to associate you with peace. And where there is peace, there is true emotional attachment. The tone transmits energetic vibration. Jung would speak of synchronicity, Your soft voice aligns with his unconscious, creating harmony. If you speak with firmness, without aggression, he perceives balance, not domination. For example, when answering a question, use pauses, vary the rhythm. Slow for emphasis, fast for fluidity. That envelops him without words. 3. Your energy does not revolve around him, but it embraces him just the same. When you are there, present, open, warm, but you are not emotionally available by default. He realizes it, not because you tell him, but because he feels it. And that forces him to value your access, to stop assuming that you are there for him, to start wondering what it is about you that gives him so much without completely surrendering. And when a man starts to wonder that, he is already emotionally marked. There is something in his field that is united with you, even if he doesn't say it yet. Energy is the Jungian aura, the psychic field. If you do not revolve around him, you maintain your center, but you embrace him with selective warmth. He feels an archetypal embrace, like that of the Great Mother, but without suffocation. On a date, be present. Touch his hand subtly if it flows, but withdraw if it doesn't. That makes him value, attach. And how do you train that non-verbal language? Not by faking security, not by acting cold. It is trained when you cleanse yourself of the urgency to be liked, when you no longer speak from a place of emptiness, when you no longer live from the need to be chosen. Then your body communicates it. Your silence becomes magnetic. Your gaze becomes a mirror. Your voice becomes an invitation, not oppression. And he is attracted without understanding why. Because now you are no longer the woman who waits for him. You are the woman who is there and who may not be. And that ties him. A man can forget your words, can ignore your gestures, can even justify why he walked away. But what he felt when he looked at you, when you were calm, when your energy did not pressure him, he relives that without knowing how. And that's why he comes back, or doesn't let you go, or dreams of you, or looks for you in others. Because the bond was not sealed with a conversation, it was sealed with a vibration, and that is not easily erased. And in the next point, I will show you how to sustain that connection without betraying yourself, how to remain present, magnetic and real, without losing your center for fear of losing him, because he becomes more attached when you no longer revolve around him. 5th and final trigger. How to sustain that connection without betraying yourself. He becomes more attached when you don't lose your center. Up to this point, you have understood how a man begins to get attached, not because of what you do, but because of what he feels about himself when he is with you, because of the emotional experience he only lives with you, because of the non-verbal language that envelops him effortlessly. But now comes the most important part of all, how to sustain that connection without betraying yourself in the process. Because many women who activate that unconscious attachment upon realizing that he is now more present, more attentive, more emotional, let their guard down. They exchange their center for the illusion of him. I've got him. And without realizing it, they lose him. Why? Because male attachment breaks the moment he feels that you are no longer you, but a version more devoted to him than to yourself. I'll say it this clearly. He becomes more attached when you continue to be you, even when he is with you, even when he loves you, even when he chooses you. And you, when you feel that he is finally connected, that he is finally emotionally present, that he finally sees you, sometimes without noticing it, you start to make small renunciations. You respond faster. You postpone your plans to adapt to his. You subtly change your energy for fear of losing what you have just achieved. And at that moment, you are no longer the same woman who made him get attached. Now, you are the woman who is moved by fear, and he perceives it. Carl Jung said that nothing dissociates a human being more than betraying oneself to be accepted. And that applies directly to love. Betraying yourself is denying your individuation to merge with the other, which breaks the archetypal dynamic. Attachment is sustained in balance, not in dissolution. A woman wrote something to me that stuck with me. I felt so connected that I stopped doing my things to have more time for him. I told him I admired him more often. I gave him more than he asked for, and in a short time I felt he wasn't as close anymore. I became more his than mine, and I lost him when I thought I already had him. And that is what cannot happen to you again, because true feminine magnetism does not live in total surrender. It lives in the constant connection with yourself. So how do you sustain that connection without dissolving? With something that modern feminine narcissism rejects, with emotional integrity, with the ability to feel a lot without losing yourself, to love deeply without abandoning yourself, to choose him without ceasing to choose yourself. And that is not coldness, it is wisdom, because you are not here to once again give away your entire world for the simple fact that a man now sees you. You are here to remember that you are the center, and that it is from that center that he joined, not from your obsession, not from your anxiety, but from your quiet light, from your authenticity without expectations. Here are the 4 keys to sustaining the connection without ever betraying yourself again. First, your life goes on, even when he arrives. Don't put your processes, your dreams, your passions on pause just because he appeared more present. The day your life starts to revolve around him, he feels it, and his desire begins to fade. He got attached to a woman with her own world, not to a woman who abandoned hers for him. Let's detail this. Maintain your routines. If you love to paint, continue dedicating hours to it, even if he wants to see you. Jung would say that this preserves yourself, avoiding the inflation of the other's ego. He values your presence more when it is part of a full life, not the center of it. Second, your limits remain, even if he loves you now. The fact that he has come back, that he is more open, that he now calls you first or seeks you out more often, does not mean you should open all your doors. Your energy remains selective. Your time remains sacred. Your love is not on sale. It is in coherence, and that keeps him awake. Limits are like the borders of the mandala. They define the sacred space. If he crosses one, express it calmly. For example, if he ignores your need for space, say, "I need this for myself." This reinforces the attachment, showing integrity. Third, your mystery doesn't disappear just because he knows you more now. Don't explain everything to him. Don't make him a part of every thought. Don't give him access to every emotion you go through. Keep something for yourself. Not to play games, but to respect yourself. Real mystery is not about being silent. It's about not exposing yourself completely for fear of losing him. Jung spoke of mystery as the veil of the unconscious. Maintaining it creates archetypal intrigue. Don't tell him every detail of your day. Leave spaces for his imagination. That keeps him hooked, seeking more in your depth. Fourth, your center remains yours even if you love him. Even if you feel he is the one, even if everything flows, your axis is internal. You are the anchor, you are the root. And if you ever feel that you are losing yourself, come back before he starts to leave too. Because the most powerful paradox is this: he got attached to you because you were not his, because you didn't have to be taken care of, because you didn't give him everything without him deserving it, because you showed him that having you was a privilege. And now that you have him closer, that privilege should not feel guaranteed. It should feel alive, sustained, present, not from blind surrender, but from the woman who loves herself so much that she never disappears for love again. Your center is the Jungian self, unbreakable. Practice daily. Meditation. Reflect on your shadows. If you feel you are dissolving, return to yourself. A walk alone. Journaling. He perceives that strength, deepening the attachment. And if he feels it, if he perceives that you are still you, that you are not dissolving into the bond, that you remain on solid ground even when he gets closer, then the attachment becomes something deeper, a stable emotional connection, a union that does not depend on drama, but on the respect you hold for yourself. And that is what makes a man not only get attached, but start to commit emotionally without knowing why, because it is no longer just about what he feels with you, but about what he is willing to protect so as not to lose you again. Conclusion: he doesn't get attached for what you give him. He gets attached for what you awaken in him, when you don't lose yourself to have him, when you continue to be you, even though he has already chosen you. Because the true emotional bond is not born from your effort. It is born from your axis, from your calm, from that silent certainty you emit when you know you don't have to prove anything to be valuable. Comment below, "He stays because I no longer lose myself." And let that phrase suture all the times you gave more of yourself, just to not be abandoned. Because from today on, you will no longer be the woman who gives too much hoping for attachment. You will be the woman who knows her power, who holds her center, and who provokes real connection from the truth of her presence. And if he ever wonders why he can't let you go, or replace you, or forget you, it's because he already knows. He got attached to the experience that he only lived with you. And no matter how much he denies it, his soul has already saved it. You now hold the keys. The knowledge you've received today isn't just a strategy, it is a spiritual awakening. You have understood that your true magnetic power doesn't lie in giving more of yourself away, but in becoming so deeply rooted in your own center that you become an unforgettable force. He doesn't get attached to what you give, but to the powerful, authentic woman you are. To seal this transformation within your soul, I want you to do something powerful. Go down to the comments right now and write this declaration. He stays because I no longer lose myself. By typing these words, you are not just commenting on a video, you are making a vow to your own Jungian self, the very core of your power. And as you solidify that intention, show its power by hitting the like button, signaling to others who are lost that this is a beacon of truth. If you haven't already, I invite you to subscribe and activate the notification bell. A surprising number of souls who journey with us through these videos haven't officially joined our community. Subscribing is your commitment to never again betray your center, ensuring you receive every future revelation we uncover together. What you learned today is only the beginning. For those who feel a powerful calling to accelerate this process, you can join as a channel member for a much closer journey with exclusive benefits. Your transformation doesn't stop here. On the screen are 2 videos I've handpicked as your next essential step. Click one now. The work continues. I will see you there.